So I tried Adobe Illustrator for the first time, and oh behold, that was an absolute nightmare. So my first thing is I went to Clip Studio Paint. Haha, not surprised. But it's much better than Adobe Illustrator. I made a sketch. I had an idea out already. And basically it's like a girl in this frog pose, and she's in the city, like a cyberpunk city. She's looking a bit busted out right now, but I'm going to fix her proportions with my favorite liquefied tool that is not in Adobe Illustrator. Also, because this is inspired by Young Posse's new MV XXL, I wanted to include the Jeep in the background where the girls go to the fast food store and buy a giant burger, macaroni cheeseburger, but then they run away and it changes into like a monster truck. So I just wanted to include that element. It was super fun. And right after that, I made the background like the buildings and stuff. And I headed over to Adobe Illustrator. Now, this is where the drama starts. I had to line out every single line with those vector tools, and because I'm just so used to like drawing with like a normal pencil that it looks so ratchet right now. Also, Clip Studio Paint also has their vector tools, and I'm just so used to like knowing where everything is, like where if I want to change the anchor point or just like adjust the line. But here I couldn't really find it at first, so it was like weird, and there was this, and everything was looking extremely choppy and blocky. Or I think I finally figured out where to adjust the anchor points thanks to my good old pal Microsoft Copilot. Microsoft Copilot is so much more accessible than ChatGPT. It just sits there in the corner of your screen and it just like press Windows C and it just pops out of nowhere. So yeah, Copilot really did help me a lot. Now I'm just trying the eyes and yeah, I don't know what happened. I tried like adjusting the size of the pen to make the lines like a little bit for the eyes to be more detailed because they're like not that important of a detail as compared to the outline borders. But I had to redo that entire thing because, yeah, it's looking pressed. Didn't like how the hair and overall shape turned out at the end. It gave very like mono style, like windbreaker. I just like imagined something from Windbreaker at this point. And then I just tried to like humanize it a bit up with like the cloth creases everywhere and put the details and adjust the lines. And oh my god, I did not think this experience could get any more worse until I had to start the coloring part. Wow, I'm just used to like paint bucketing everything, and there was no paint bucket option. I was super baffled, and I had to like do the anchor point stuff all over again underneath the outline layer so that the colors can get filled using like the fill tool. And when I started coloring, I realized that in Adobe's fill color options, there is no grayscale. Like, that was super weird. Every single hue that was there was saturated to the highest limit. You could adjust the tones or tints, but you couldn't adjust like the saturation. I mean, not saturation, but yeah. There was no grayscale like versatility in it. So I just went over back to Figma and like created my own like color palette with some colors I'd be eating. And these colors did include like colors which are grayer and paler. And when I tried using those same colors in Illustrator, they were converted to different colors that matched its color range that was there in Figma but was not in there in Illustrator. And so that's super weird. Do people not do like dull and pale aesthetics in Adobe Illustrator? I felt like something called the Live Paint, and I didn't really understand how to use it, or I don't think my situation was optimal enough to use that feature. So it's just me just dying with the anchor points all over again. I had to do like every single strand of her hair, her clothes, her face, and hoodie. And then I realized there was something called a paint blob tool. I tried it out for her pants. And it kind of did work better than what I was doing before. So I had to like, I drew around the outline first just to like put everything in place. And then just like fill the inside without leaving my pen go. And that just created a huge blob shape that just filled the entire thing. I did it for the shoes as well. I headed on to making the background now. It was a different challenge. But at this time, I realized that there's been many like gaps and cracks inside my girl that weren't really filled with color or exceeded the outline. I didn't even know I could like change the paint blob tool size because there was no like visible option. There's no like slider or anything that you see in like Photoshop or Clip Studio Paint. It was just like the icon of the paintbrush. So I had to ask my good old Copilot once again, and it told me that just have to press the square bracket on the keyboard and that adjusts the size to your liking. So one of the square brackets makes it smaller and the other one makes it larger. And these are again like preset sizes, so there's not really much customization on the size of the brush, but that was enough for me to like clean up the edges and stuff so that my background doesn't look like it's bleeding through her. Now, the next part was the shading. So I just had to go back through all those details I did throughout her clothes and like fill them in with more color. But then I realized like when I lowered the opacity that the like pads like were all different objects. So when I lowered the opacity, the objects were showing like a overlay kind of situation in between them. Now, this is weird. I did think there's going to be an easy fix for this. So in the properties, I found like an option to unify the objects as one. So I just like made them as one object and then lowered the opacity, and that worked beautifully. After that, I just had found like the layer changing mode. Thank goodness you could change the layer modes as well. Because if I couldn't multiply or add my layers, I'd be devastated. So I just turned on the multiply layer, and that just like evened out all the colors, made them blend seamlessly, the flat colors underneath it and the shading colors. Once I reached doing the background, it's already been like 2+ hours trying to like just connect all these anchor points. I didn't even want to spend much time on the background because I don't even know if our professor's going to even grade that much nicely in the first place. So I just like did the rough like shapes just to get the perspective in place and just did like an abstract style of what I imagined. So it's not completely like all to the point. It's a very abstract background scenario that's going on right now. But yeah, I did some typography. I wanted to change the perspective of those letters so bad, but I couldn't find the perspective tool. I should have asked Copilot again, I know, but yeah, I just wanted to get it over with, so I thought it was like not much big deal. And then I just do like a little bit of highlights just to like bring it all together. And so it's basically the same thing with shapes and unify it, and then use the Adler to make it brighter. And then I felt like I had to change her hoodie color. So this is how the final Adobe Illustrator piece turned out looking. It's good, but like I did have like a final vision in my head that I couldn't like convey through Illustrator, so I had to go back to my Clip Studio Paint and just do my entire like process of just yassifying my entire art, just fixing it up a bit. So like if you're interested in my rendering process, I do have like videos of that too. So wow, that's how the final piece ended up looking. So thank you. And FYI, I hope to never use Illustrator ever again. Bye.